Welcome to episode 37 Starler Play Football with myself, Theo, and Kojo. What are you saying, Kojo?
I'm alive. Like I always am. So I'm alive. It's been it's been a disastrous 24 hours for me, but I'm still here, still smiling. It's football in it. So, and we've got football coming back this weekend at least. So, yeah, man, I'm good. What you say?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm keeping out these mean streets. That's what I'm doing. Keeping my head down. As much as I'm joking about it, it's been mad. So yeah, I'm hoping. I'm not even hoping, actually. That's the wrong word. I expect when the football comes back, the streets will be a lot calmer. Although they shouldn't be calmer. It should just be, do you know what I mean? The streets are the streets and everyone just gets on, but we don't live.
Has been wild in your kind of like, maybe not in your area, but not too far from your area, I guess.
Yeah, like obviously Liverpool, like City Centre was mad on Saturday, I think, or Sunday. For anyone that we're kind of talking because we know what we're talking about, but for anyone that doesn't know, if you've been under a rock, obviously a lot of the hate protests, that's what I'm going to call them, clashes and with police and all the rest of it, all up and down the country. But yeah, Liverpool had a couple. Saturday, I think they burnt a library down and all that. It's been a bit mad. So, yeah, just been keeping away from it, like literally. But I think you're right. I think when the football comes back, sadly, all the hooligans, the racists, the idiots will be back in the football stadiums and not on the streets drinking their crates of Strongbow as they have been for the last couple of weekends. But if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like the videos, make sure you click on the audio version and tell your friends to tell a friend as well. We are doing club by club Premier League 24-25 season preview. So we're up to Brighton. I did very bite-sized. Unfortunately, Bournemouth, Brentford fans, you got a bite-sized version. Not to say that you're not important in the Premier League, but you know, some way it goes that way. That's how the cookie crumbles. But we're talking Brighton tonight. We're talking Brighton, a team that I feel under De Zerbi did okay. Yeah. They got obviously into Europe under him, but I do think there's going to be a bigger expectation, I think, personally, from Brighton. De Zerbi finished with Brighton last season. I think it was 11th place he finished with them. What do you think on De Zerbi, first of all, and how he got Brighton and how well he done with Brighton?
I think he done okay. It might be mad for people to hear me say that I don't know if he did much better than Potter. But I know he got them into Europe. They maybe enjoyed the brand of football a bit more. I think the key thing that he had that Potter didn't have is that he had people that could finish chances. A lot of times at Brighton games under Potter was they control possession, they control this, they control that, but they don't know how to finish their dinner. They don't know how to put people away. Whereas with Brighton at the time and De Zerbi, they found that formula. They found a way to get goals. And that could be something that you praise him for and you say, look, you know, Potter had the time to find a striker and he just didn't find a striker that could get him goals. That's on him. But I think that's the difference between the two. But look, let's not pretend that I've criticized De Zerbi on this many a time. I call him Pep cosplay. I think the best way for me to say how I felt about him, even though he did well for Brighton, but I think last season speaks volumes, is despite someone being so highly rated in this country and being so apparently sought after in this nation, he's now at Marseille. No disrespect to Marseille, but it's not the Marseille of old. So, me personally, I think that speaks volumes, man. And I think 11th is the best he was going to get past that.
I agree with you 100%. I think the thing I think I said it at the start of the season with De Zerbi and Brighton was I always thought the Europa League was going to be a massive stumbling block for them, whether it was just because they're not used to playing in those European competitions. But I remember saying at the time as well, losing McAllister and Moises Caicedo in that midfield and not really replacing them. I know that they brought players in that to try and cover up the cracks a little bit, but they didn't bring in players that were kind of like for like almost. Do you know what I mean? So
Sorry.
I did see that. I did see it. I tried not to. If you're not watching on the YouTube live stream right now, Kojo has some kind of madness going on. I don't know why. It's like
the light
October
just-
31st.
The light just went mad. Okay, I'm not going to even touch it. Let's just continue. That was mad. Very bold.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I mean, look, De Zerbi was always going to struggle, I think, with the Europa League, losing two key players in midfield. Injuries were a big factor. Losing Tariq Lamptey, who was a massive part of Brighton over the last couple of seasons, especially under Graham Potter. Matoma, I think, was missing for some of that. Dingra never really picked up and sort of gathered pace in terms of form. Neither did Ansu Fati, who I thought was going to be amazing for them coming in. Strange for them. They did seem to struggle with injuries. And do you think it's just a bit of arrogance maybe from De Zerbi, potentially, that he was just a bit more arrogant than he thought he was in terms of the players that he had? Or was it just the fact that, because I feel like they went under the radar a little bit. They were quite high up in the league and then they suddenly slipped down, I think they're to 11th place in their final position. Is that just a case of other teams grew better in terms of their form at the latter end of the stage of the season?
Oh, yeah. Teams definitely got better, but Brighton are a club where they pick managers based on just continuing sort of like the brand of football they want to play, the style of football they want to play. That's how they pick their managers. And I understand it. If you've got a certain group of players and they work in a certain system, the best way to continue with trying to find form is maybe the slightest changes, but someone that has a similar enough approach. De Zerbi had that issue where he's a plan A manager. So when plan A was working, it looked good. As soon as plan A wasn't working, there was no plan B, there was no plan C. And they got exposed quickly. That's why they fell down the table. I'm not going to discredit the other teams that finished above them.
No, of course not. No.
But you also got to say, once you're in a position, you shouldn't allow the teams below you to sort of almost get ahead. It can change quickly, but just don't let them get ahead of you at some moment. Control the thing a little bit. It's sort of like last season, how we spoke about Leicester being so clear at the top of the table with the championship. There's no way it should have gone so close towards the end of the season. They should have been gone. It should have been done by the end of March, beginning of April. It should have been done. People criticized Chelsea last year. I know we're going to talk about Chelsea tomorrow, but criticized Chelsea last year. But the fact is, if you look at it, after the disastrous season from January to the end of the season, they had a great run of form. So Man United should not have let Chelsea go above them. Spurs should not have let Chelsea get even close to even looking at fifth, even sniffing fifth. You know what I'm saying? It's those things that you have to talk about. So when you talk about Brighton, and it could be an arrogance thing, but I think they just lack a plan B. And that's why when you saw players like Lewis Dunk and these men struggling and there was nothing being done to help that struggle, maybe a little more sort of defensive stability by getting maybe two midfielders rather than one to do a pivot, hold off a little bit, help them support them a little bit. There wasn't any of that. It was the same system going on. That's why you didn't see anything change. So, but again, for me, that's a De Zerbi problem.
Definitely, 100%.
You got to recognize these things. If you don't, that's what happens, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Just reading here, De Zerbi Brighton won 5 of their opening 6 games, but then they only picked up 6 points from their last 10 matches of the season, which tells you, the plan B is not there. The players and injuries were a massive factor, but I still think that's a poor run of games. It shows that you can almost see why club and manager departed at the end of the season based on that form, that record.
Bro, 30 points and you get 6 out of 30 points. That's relegation form, no? We're talking about relegation.
That's what I'm saying. I think they had the fact that they started the season so well was probably what kept them where they were in terms of the 11th place, because had they had a really poor start in terms of how I'm trying to think who it was now that we did. I might have done one against Bournemouth. I think I was talking about Bournemouth or Brentford the other night, and they had a really poor start to the season. They didn't pick up a win. I think it was until October. I think it was Bournemouth. Didn't pick up a win till October. I think it was against Burnley 2-1. And had Brighton had that start and that finish, you might be talking about Brighton playing in the Championship, starting their season this Saturday.
Right, Derby wouldn't have even made to Marseille with that kind of form. We're talking,
it's crazy.
We're talking St. Pauli. We're talking Hoffenheim. That's what we're talking.
Let's because I feel like we beat the stick on them a bit already a bit too much, even though he deserves it. But let's talk about the manager that's coming, Fabian Hürzeler.
Yeah,
I think I've said that right.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't. To be fair, I don't know much about him. I'm going to be honest. I had to sort of read up about him a little bit this morning, but I know he's going to be the youngest manager in the Premier League, 31 years of age.
Yeah.
I think he's a manager that's coming obviously with a big reputation, just winning the Bundesliga 2 title last season. There's a lot of expectation, I think, around him in terms of him coming in and almost like you said at the start before, trying to fit the Brighton way of playing football. The Graham Potter has had to do. De Zerbi's had his own way, but still with the Brighton style kind of overarching over that. He comes into this now, plays quite similar football from what I'm aware in terms of tactical wise and how he sets his teams up. Do you know much about him? I don't know if you do.
Very little. I know he managed. That's why I mentioned St. Pauli. I had to do a little segue. But yeah, no, he managed St. Pauli. They've got promoted towards the end of the season. They finished first. He plays the brand of football that they're looking for. And if you're looking at the stats of, I don't know, maybe points per match or whatever, he's kind of high. Obviously, for the league, obviously, you're going to be high, but that's the second Bundesliga, not obviously first league. But he's very young. And if I am correct, I think he's managed overall like 55 games. Like,
It's not a lot.
For St. Pauli anyway. If we're talking about all levels, maybe a bit more, but that's the highest level he's managed at now until obviously going to the Premier League. So not a lot of games. It's a risk. It's a risk. But look, I will say this in Brighton's favour. If he continues to brand the football, that's a plus. He's a young manager, so he can be progressive. That's a plus. And if he starts well and he's able to build something with you for the future, that's a big plus as well. Sometimes you've got to look towards the younger manager. Sort of like how, I don't want to compare him. I'm not saying he's the same person, but you know how Porto had it with Villas-Boas. Villas-Boas was very young at Porto, and he won the Europa League. He won the league title. Obviously, he came to you guys, didn't flex the same way, but he kind of earned his stripes a little bit. So it's still a risk for me, but we'll see how it goes, man.
No, I think it's a risk. I do agree it's a massive risk. I think in terms of Brighton, they tend to get certain things right at the club. Actually, I don't want to. Their recruitment is really, really good, and I would expect them. And let's be honest as well, De Zerbi, as much as we just criticised him a bit there, he did get them into Europe as well the season before. So, Brighton are very good at trying to pinpoint people that suits how they want to play football, whether that's players, manager. They've obviously got a really good scouting recruitment network behind them as well. And I feel like maybe this bringing in, I forgot his name already, Hürzeler, whatever his name is, Hürzeler. We're bringing him in. I feel he might be a manager that can do well in the Premier League. I think sometimes the expectation of the Premier League, and when we talk about managers, when we think 31, like he should still potentially he could still be kicking football. Like James Milner, I think, is older than him. Do you know what I mean? And he's still probably kicking football somewhere. So I think it's a gamble. I'm just looking at some of the odds here. Obviously, I don't think it's going to come in, but 150 to 1 for Brighton to win the Premier League. Listen, I'm just reading off the stats here, but Brighton to finish in the top 6, so obviously to make Europe again, is 6 to 1, and for them to be relegated is 20 to 1. So there's some good odds there, but I do look at. I know, yeah, I'm tempted by the last one. I am tempted by the last one. I mean, we'll get onto our predictions where they'll finish in the league shortly, but I do think it's a risk bringing in a manager that hasn't really managed, and this is no disrespect to his managerial journey at all, who hasn't really managed at a level which some would say isn't the level that you would step over into the Premier League. But that's not to say that he hasn't got the capability and experience clearly to do that. I just think if it goes wrong, it could go really wrong for Brighton based on the 2 seasons that the previous season they just had as well. Let's talk about transfers in, because they have brought some players in. They've brought Yankuba Minter, a forward from Newcastle, 30 million. I don't know much about him for 30 million. I don't know him.
I've heard very small things about him only because I've got a very good friend called Craig, who's a Newcastle fan. I'll just say it like this, and it's not even a disrespect. He didn't care that he was leaving. Which
One of them ones where you just like that waving him off.
Yeah, it's like, wow, it's like, oh, you're paying that much?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. I mean, I think how much did Newcastle pay for him? I think they paid like in pounds, maybe like 5 million, like a year or so ago. So this is a big, for me. It's a big what's the word I'm looking for? It's a big risk.
Massive risk.
But he had a good loan at Feyenoord last year. He wasn't bad at Feyenoord. Obviously, I'm just gonna be very honest with you guys. Right wingers, PTSD, Anthony, they don't tend to work out. But no, he's 19. I think this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. I feel like they're just taking risks across the board. And look, I'm saying this right now. We could start the season and he could be sensational. But
yeah.
I just don't know. I just don't know.
It's a worry. I mean, just going back to your point. So I think they bought him from Adents, which is they paid 8 million for him. So theoretically, they've made about 22 million in terms of a profit from him. Like you said, he had a really good, and they made money off the loan as well. They made some money off the loan fee for Feyenoord. I'll be honest, I don't know much about him, so I can't sit here and say that I've watched him play for Feyenoord or how he played. But I do worry about, I say it again, I worry about Brighton's attackers because none of them really lit up the Premier League for me last season. Even João Pedro, who we're going to talk about in a bit, but just, Evan Ferguson, none of them lit up the Premier League really. And essentially that's probably why they dropped off and finished 11th in the league. So maybe they do need to bring in additional resources in that department, maybe to, obviously I think Fati hasn't been signed on a permanent, so I'm assuming again, that's one player out of that sort of attacking options that you've got there. But we'll have to see. I don't know much about him, but they brought in a midfielder, or brought in two. Let's start with the first one, Matt Wafer from Feyenoord. 24 years of age, £25.4 million. A good addition, I think. I do know a little bit about him, so I think he's a good addition. But what's your thoughts?
I think he's good. I do think he's a good player. I'm interested to see how he adapts to Premier League, because even though the brand of football I think will suit him at the club he's at, the kind of approach teams take against Brighton towards the end of the season, they might take the same approach to try and rattle them. So I want to see if he's got the physicality for it. He's not a weak boy, but we'll have to see if he's down for it. But Feyenoord, he's another Feyenoord player that was good last year. It's just Feyenoord might have just licked their lips when they saw the bid, because I think they paid like 200k for him 2 years ago. He was cheap. He came from, I can't say the name, Excelsior. It might be. I think that's how you say the name. Yeah. I think he came from them, and I remember watching him there. And listen, the only reason I saw him is literally because I was flicking through the channels on a device that I'm not going to mention.
Not Sky Sports.
Well, it can't be Sky Sports. They don't show Eredivisie in it, so that's them.
They used to. I'm sure they used to.
They used to. Did they still do it? Maybe they not. I think I see more Bundesliga on there.
They see they got the Bundesliga now. Yeah.
But yeah, I was watching. I was flicking through and I saw him. I thought, this guy's kind of tidy, but he wasn't a player that kind of, blew my mind and said, yeah, I think watch out for him. It's another risk, but if he fits what the manager's looking to do, then good power to him. Everything's about systems these days, isn't it? So if you fit the system, you look good. So we'll see how he does.
I think he's. I mean, I'm just looking at some of, and me, I don't really do stats, but I'm just looking at his. I mean, he's chipped in with a couple of goals, 5 goals last season, 3 assists out of 29 games. Obviously, got a bit of Champions League experience as well. Can play obviously defensive and central midfield as well. So I think going back to that point that we raised around, McAllister, Caicedo leaving, and the void. I feel like there's a gap in that midfield. Obviously, Billy Gilmore's in there, does very well. But he loves a technical foul, Billy Gilmore, and I think a lot of the time he's a bit of a I don't want to say he's a bit of a flight risk, but he's one of those players that you're not really sure what you're going to get from Billy Gilmore. Very good, but I do think there's a bit more that needs to come to his game, a bit more of that discipline side for me. But what's your thoughts on
Well, that's what
maybe?
I was going to ask you, because obviously he
Yeah,
was your boy. He came through the system, didn't he? So
yeah.
was he when he was sold? Was there a sense of maybe, I don't know the word, wrong was unrest, but maybe a bit of worry that maybe because he seemed like he has such a high ceiling, big potential.
Yeah,
Do you think
yeah.
he meet that, or is he kind of the player that you think he's pretty much almost plateaued kind of thing?
Well, he plays on the edge a lot, doesn't he? I think he likes. I mean, he's a very good player. I don't think he's hit his ceiling yet at all. I think he's. I think the Brighton move at the time made sense, but you got to remember the season before that. I think he was on at Norwich and wasn't getting played as well. So he went on loan there. So I think I'm sure it was Norwich. I might have got that wrong, but it's been a long day. But he went on loan and he didn't get played at all. So I think he missed a good chunk of a season where he potentially should have been developing his football and carrying on and going on a trajectory, and he never done that. I think the Chelsea fan base at the time, but I'm saying this with a pinch of salt, the Chelsea fan base were gutted, but they're gutted about every player that leaves. It doesn't matter whether it's, if Sanchez leaves in the summer or Petrovic, they'll probably be gutted. But I think with Billy Gilmore, the homegrown players is a bit more sentiment and, a connection as opposed to with the player. But I think the connection between the two of them, Gallagher on the brain, that's tomorrow. With Gilmore and Weaver will be good. I think that I'm looking forward to seeing that. I think maybe it will calm Billy Gilmore down in that midfield, free up one of them to go a bit more and in an advanced position as well. Because I think that's where they lost a lot of their battles. It's a cliche, but they lost a lot of their battles in that midfield, and those wide options. Obviously, they like to use the full backs or the wing backs at times to go forward and be part of that advance of the attacking transition of the game. I think they lost a lot of that last season, so I think they needed to bring someone in that midfield to bolster that and just try and make him a bit more tighter in that midfield, man. So yeah, I don't know how it's going to pan out for them.
Right, neither do I.
It's crazy. Let's move on to Ibrahim Osman, who has been signed from Norgeland. Forward 16 million. One thing I want to say about Brighton, they seem to be spending a lot more money because they normally do very good business on players and don't spend a lot of money. And I feel like they're spending that Caicedo and McAllister money a little bit now, aren't they? The purse strings are a bit more looser now. Okay.
Might as well. If you have no words with PSR rules, if you're doing the right things correctly, certain teams, then there you go. You can spend the money and be okay. Okay, I'm gonna say this about Osman, because I'm gonna try and do this not with my Ghana head.
No, do it with your Ghana head, man. It's fine. Come on, man.
But anyways, no. I am a fan of his. There's this academy called Right to Dream that so many Ghanaian young talents come from, and I'd say 70% of them have gone on to achieve wonderful things. Yeah. So he's got a big future. And if anyone pays attention to Norgeland, there's a certain Bison that was in Chelsea's midfield. That's the Ghanaian warrior. That's coaching there, Mr. Uncle Essien. And he saw the talent, and he said this boy is good. He knows the boy is good. Essien doesn't really talk about players too tough. I'll be very honest. He's not someone that mentions a lot of Ghanaian players unless he has confidence in them being good. And the last time he spoke about somebody that I know of publicly was Kudus. So it tells you that there's a bit of there's
you gotta be 30 to get the cosign.
Exactly. So I have hopes for Ibrahim. Obviously, you know how football is. It's just about you putting your head down and continue your development to hopefully reach that potential that Essien is talking about and has seen whilst he's been coaching you at the club. My only worry is this thing that Brighton have done with him and what's the other guy we just spoke about on the other side? Minter. On the other side, they're both 19. They're both young. That's a lot of pressure. I know Osman obviously plays in Mitoma's position, so probably going to be a bench in and out type player, which is I think is good, but I just don't want him to be thrusted in and expected to do wonderful things immediately. Give him some time, but he is a good player. But again, it's another risk. He's 19 years old, so we have to see what the plan is there. But yeah, he's got a good cosign, so hopefully, he shines in the Premier League, man.
I like this signing. I think this signing makes sense because I think again, you look at the age, you look at the profile of the player. He can play obviously left side. That's his natural main position is the left wing, but he can play right wing, centre forward as well. And I think for a player of this profile, I think it fits what Brighton. This is a Brighton signing to me. Very, very good under the radar signing that we see, and then next season, if he performs well and he gets the game time and the opportunities to play, I could see him then becoming a regular starter. And before you know it, there's clubs coming in for 90, 120 million bids for him in a couple of years. He feels like one of them signings for me. I'm excited for this one. I am.
Me too. I mean, I hope he's going to do well here. Because as much as I criticize bigger clubs for this, I think it'll be good for a club like Brighton to bring him to the Premier League and help him to develop, and then he can get a big move. I'm hoping that'll be his future, but no, we'll see. But I'm excited, and look, I'm here for Ghana just getting better players because there are two brothers. I don't want to mention their names, but I'm sorry, who just need to it's time. It's been time to just shout out their dad though. Their dad's OG, real G, and the real legend out here. Them man, man. Listen, you stress me so much here that these days, every now when I get a haircut, I do this first because it feels like it's getting thinner around this side. You know what I mean? What you might have done to me. Hey.
You want to be a Chelsea fan, and you're not like me, so be careful. Do you know what I mean? Count your blessings, man. Count your blessings. One thing I will say before we move off Osman is I think he needs to, and this will come with time. He's still a young player. His goals and assists need to be a bit higher, I think. And I think that's the only thing. And I know that's not the be-all and end-all of a footballer, especially in that position. But I'm just looking at some of these stats here now. And again, 2 goals, 4 assists. And looking at the minutes to goal ratio, he could be better. But I think that will come with time. Do you know what I mean? He's a young player. I think he'll get opportunities, hopefully, in the Premier League to showcase what he can do. And like I said, I think it's a Brighton signing. We have to remember Mitoma was injured for a big part of the season. I think Ansu Fati might have been playing on the left for them as well as
he almost played everywhere. To be fair,
he can play across. He can play across, can't he? So, but you got to remember he's not there now. I don't think so. That's another loss for them. We'll talk about some of the outgoings. I'm not sure who's gone out. I think it might be Gross, Milner, Lallana potentially would have filled in there sometimes as well. So I think it's a good signing for them. I do. Let's talk about Malik Yalkoye. I think I've said his name right, hopefully. IFK Gothenburg, 8.4 million. A midfielder, 18.
Enough a risk. Bro, he's played like 10 professional games. I don't know anything about him, innit? So
yeah, I don't know about him, man.
Knowing that we're talking about Brighton, I just said, okay, let me look at least like the statistical side of stuff for him. I'm not gonna watch videos of him. I don't know anything about him, if I'm being honest. And I'm not the kind of guy who watches maybe I enjoy watching clips of players, but that doesn't give me an image of how good he is.
Yeah, you're only going to see the best bits. You only see the best bits of him. You're not going to see like the full player for 90 minutes, 60, 70 minutes of a game. That's where you get to judge someone properly.
Exactly. So I'm not going to give him anything bad or good, but I'm just going to say, yeah, I've checked that he's played, it wasn't 10, it was 11. He's played 11 professional games. I hope you've paid this money because he's got massive potential, and I hope for his sake as well. I don't need to come here and struggle and then it doesn't work out. That would be sad for him. He's young, so I hope he has a good time here. But it just seems like another risk, man. I mean, you're losing. You've lost experience in the midfield. You've lost 2 experience midfielders. I think they even lost what's that guy's name? Alzate as well. I think they released him. So like,
Oh, yeah, they have. Yeah. They've released them.
So you've lost a lot of this one. This is what I'm saying. Apart from Wafer, who's obviously 24 years old, the rest of them are kids. So,
but they like kids. I know that sounds mad saying that. You know what I mean? Though?
yeah.
But they do like the younger footballer, and I think 9 times out of 10, this is why I like Brighton. If you're a football manager guy, be Brighton on Football Manager. You can't get sacked, and you got a youthful team. They are a very good team, and their scouting network is usually spot on. So I agree with you though. 10, 11 games. How much football have you seen of a player to sign him for near enough 9 million? It's a big risk. It's a massive risk.
Exactly. Oh,
the last one I'm looking. What was that?
Sorry, so it's not time for Man United podcast or Fulham podcast, but I just saw Fulham have pulled out like coming in negotiations. So that's killed my mood for today. We're gonna call it a disastrous 48 hours tomorrow when we talk.
Oh,
anyway, let's go.
Oh,
yeah.
When we get to United, I reckon it'll be gone. By the time we get to United's preview.
We pray.
But this signing for Brighton, I am looking forward to. Mario Cozier Dubry. They brought him on. Well, they didn't buy him. There's 2 things to this actually. One, Arsenal let him go. They got him on a free transfer from Arsenal.
Yeah.
Sometimes I look at these signings and I think there's a reason why Arsenal have let you go. There's one way of looking at it, yeah? The other way is the level, and this is no disrespect to Brighton, but the level of Arsenal, even at that youth level, trying to push into that, senior team is a lot higher than it is at Brighton. Yeah. So he actually could be a Brighton level player and kick on. And I think he might be that. And that's why I'm looking forward to it.
He could be. No, I think it's fair for us to, rather than sort of judge a player getting released and saying, obviously you are right. The academy level of Arsenal is ridiculously high. I spoke to someone 2 or 3 weeks ago who was saying like, because he really works at Arsenal now, he works in the academy, and he was saying that they've got so much talent there, but you can tell already that the ones that are not going to make it. And it's not that they're bad; they're just not the level.
They just can't make the grade.
Yeah, where it's like there's 2 or 3 that you just are sure that they're ready for that next step. And obviously he's made it through. He's 19 years old, so he's obviously made it through enough to get to move to a Premier League team. I'm interested to see how he develops, because I thought someone like Ben Shafe would be someone that you wouldn't see again, but now he's getting wanted by Premier League sides because he's found his feet. Took him a while, but he's doing his thing at Coventry, and now he's looking like he might get a Premier League move come the end of the transfer windows. Players like that, you just gotta give them some time. So hey, another young player at Brighton, but you're right, it could work out. So at a free transfer, you can't lose. You can't lose. If he pops off, you're definitely making profit if he moves. So
he's good. He's good, man. I've watched him at under 21 level for Arsenal, and he's a good player, a very good player. I'm surprised they let him go. But again, that goes back to my point. Maybe like you just said, certain players just don't fit what Arsenal's level is, the benchmark, or surpassing that. And if you don't make that, that's not even a disrespect. To fall from Arsenal to Brighton is still a very good level. Do you know what I mean? Some players are falling from Arsenal to, League One, League Two. So it's still a massive, massive opportunity. I think you'll get a lot more game time, if not in, some of the cup runs, but at least maybe some of those you'd expect to see, maybe some of those easier Premier League games for Brighton as well. But let's just quickly talk about some of the outgoings. So Pascal Gross, 8 million, Borussia Dortmund. I think that was a given. I think that was quite an early one in terms of the negotiations for him to move there. Adam Lallana has been released. He was released, and I think he's gone to Southampton again. Kozlowski has gone to Galatasaray on an undisclosed fee, and as you said, Steven Alzate was released, the 25-year-old midfielder. So 4 outs. I'm assuming that will free up some money on the wage bill. I'd assume maybe Lallana or Gross one. Again, their wage structure is quite good at Brighton. So again, they're not paying astronomical amounts every week. But I just think even based on how they're set up, that will free up a bit of cash and they can inject it elsewhere. But surprised by any of those 4? Obviously, apart from
No.
Alzate, but
Oh yeah, apart from Azate, but no, not really. Even Azate, I think they loaned him out towards the end of the season.
yeah, they
so,
did.
Yeah, so that meant there was no plan for him. Nothing shocking. Lallana didn't surprise me because I think that was supposed to be a short term thing anyway, which it was. He's gone back home. I don't think I expected Pascal Gross to move, but once we heard Dortmund were interested, I think
He's going. He's not staying. He's not
it's a
staying.
given. Which is a positive for me because every time Man United play Brighton, he dunked on us. So, we don't have to worry about him anymore.
It'll be a big loss though. It'll be a massive loss for
huge loss. Top player for them. Top player for them. But no, nothing surprising. They just have to deal with the loss of experience, really.
Am I right in saying that James Milner is still technically a Brighton player?
He is, isn't he? Yeah.
Boy, 38, going on 39.
Evergreen, bro. Evergreen.
Listen, whatever him and Thiago Silva are drinking, send it my way, please. Please. Because they're 39, to be fair.
How far is he from? Because the all-time Premier League attendance appearance record is Gareth Barry, no, not Ryan Giggs. Gareth Barry, isn't it?
I think it was Gareth Barry. I think.
Yeah, so I wonder how far he is. I want to check that now, actually.
I'm literally doing that now.
Premier League appearances. There we go. Let's have a look and see. Yeah, it's Gareth Barry right now, 653. Man. Milner's gone past Giggs. Milner's on 634. He can break it this year. He can be the all-time.
Oh yeah, that's what I was asking. I think if he stays, he'll break it.
Yeah, it's 19.
Will it be this year?
Games away. Yeah,
you have to play another season. No, he did this season.
Yeah, it's 19 games away from it. So
no, he'll do this season.
Play half. Yeah, he can do it. Yeah. Why not
this season?
Why not? Go for it, man.
Maybe that's why he's staying. And I think the question is, can he sustain 19 games? I suppose he can.
I'm just going to be very technical here, but all he has to do is come up for the last 15 minutes of the game, and that counts. Hey, it might not be as hard work as we think, but I think it's good for Brighton to keep that experience in there because losing two experienced players that they have already, at least they have someone who's, in fact, he's done it all, hasn't he? He's won all the trophies as well, actually. So it's not.
I think so. Yeah.
He's won Champions League with Liverpool.
He won the Club World Cup with Liverpool, I think, as well. Or was he not there then?
Yeah,
he was, wasn't he? He was there.
Yeah, and then obviously Premier Leagues with both them and City.
Yeah, he's done it. He's done it.
Can't lose, man. Can't lose.
Yeah. Credit to Milner, still going. Let's quickly talk about how Brighton might set up next season. Obviously under De Zerbi, I think they did play more of a 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 at times as well. I think Hürzeler likes to play again, maybe more how Graham Potter did with the 3-4-3, the two wing backs in Lamptey and Estepina as well. Another player that's been injured quite a lot last season as well.
Yeah.
You've obviously got Webster, Dunk at the back. Yeah, I know. I do like the young kid Van what's his face?
Heck.
Van Heck.
Yeah, Van Heck. Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. He plays. He plays the left side of the centre backs, doesn't he? But I like him. He's a very good player as well. Surprised that he hasn't got a move, or he will potentially get a move. But I would expect then Wafer and Gilmore in the middle, maybe with Matoma, João Pedro, and who am I missing? Adingra, maybe Adingra on the right side. I don't know. And obviously Lamptey right wing back as well. But how do you think the new gaffer, the new manager will bring them into line and try get them to play his style?
This is what I've been trying to think because I don't think he needs to make too many changes. I think he just needs to sort of focus on getting establishing what his best 11 is very quickly. I think he can do that. I'm hoping he's done that during pre-season, but I'm hoping he can get it done ASAP. From what I remember of Sao Paulo, that's a 3-4-3, so that probably will work in their favour as well. So you'll probably see that back three that you're talking about, Heck on the left side. That'll be Dunk in the middle then, wouldn't it? And then Webster
right centre back. Yeah.
And obviously Estepinian and Lamptey, as you said, yeah. well, I said on the left and right side, that'll be midfielders, I guess, if you're going to classify them as that. I'm intrigued. What I'm intrigued about is how he's going to set up with Welbeck and Ferguson.
Well, we haven't really mentioned Ferguson, and I feel like I can't remember who he was talking about the other day, and we said he's fell off a cliff, or his career, not him, literally. But I feel like Ferguson is, I know he's still young, so I don't want to put the pressure on him, but I feel like he kind of done really well to start the season, and then he just struggled for goals. He just struggled.
Yeah.
I don't know if the hype got to him, because I think, was he not linked with United at one point, and he was linked with Arsenal?
Right, Arsenal, yeah.
You know, I just think is that maybe got to him a little bit in terms of not the pressure, but just in terms of the expectation. You know, he failed to find the net in the last 21 games of all competitions.
Yeah, that's peak. That's peak. But
as a striker, that's crazy.
I think he's in a difficult situation right now, if I'm being honest with you, because obviously in our group chat in particular, we've been talking about how the game's gone and how number 9s are looked at now. So even the brand of football that Brighton played, it kind of suits Welbeck a bit more, just because I think he's a bit more of a player that just in a bit more into midfield and helps out just out wide and everything. So there's a bit of, I say, more fluidity. So when Ferguson does get a chance, he kind of snatches at it rather than have the confidence of a number 9 to finish. If I'm going to be very honest, I still think he needs a big move, because I feel he needs like a better level of coaching around him to help him find the potential that most people think he's going to have. I'm a big fan. I'll be very real. I'm a big fan. And that's not me trying to protect him. That's not me trying to even say Brighton have done him wrong, because obviously the reason why we like him is because he's done really well at Brighton. They've developed him well. But if he's going to be that striker, if he's going to take the next stage, or the next step rather, he's going to need to make the move. Some strikers are not blessed straight away. They're not.
No, it's true. It's true.
You can't be Owen or Rooney with your finishing. You know, it's not. Sometimes it doesn't come that early. You know, but it's about how impactful you can become as a forward. Some strikers that we adore over the years are not the most cleanest or most prolific, but it's about what they can do as a number 9 that gets them the accolades. I think he can become prolific, but I think if he's going to become prolific, I think he needs a better finishing type coach around him, just to help him, you know, work on the type of finishes he does. I remember when they played Arsenal last year in particular, he had 2 or 3 chances in the game, and I was just like, if you just dink it over him,
compose yourself.
Yeah, or if you just finesse it this side, it's the small things that he's missing. Because he does all the movement, he does the physicality side of it. Like, he's not a player that struggles to get chances. He doesn't struggle against defenders, but he struggles to pick the finish that is going to get him, you know, the accolades. That's gonna get me FPL points next season.
Yeah,
so we'll see. But no, I'm a fan. I think he just needs a big movement, honestly.
That might be the thing. I mean, I'm surprised a club. I know obviously we spoke about strikers when we were speaking, I think Arsenal, where we were talking with Basil. And I'm surprised the club hasn't come in for him, because there is potential there. I'm saying he's a bad player or nothing like that. There's potential there, 100%. I just think, well, this is why I think no one's come in, because I think the valuation was like 100 million. And I think he's a £50 million striker at best, you know, maybe 60 million. I just think when people hear 100 million, they're like, okay, like, we're not paying that. Do you know what I mean? Osherman's there. As much as I don't rate him, you know, people are more inclined to go with that signing, or they're going to go and try and find another striker that, you know, Chiesa was running around, or whoever. Go and get someone else that can play an attacking option. So I look at Ferguson, and I think maybe that's why the hype died down a little bit on him, and also the fact that he wasn't scoring as he was at the start. I remember he scored a hat-trick, I think, against Newcastle, I think it was, in the season. Yeah. And I thought, right, yeah, come on, I can see where this 100 million is coming from now. I can see it. So yeah, I'd probably pay about 50, 60 million. I don't know if you agree with that, but
I'd pay 50 million, but the 50 million would have to be like you match add-ons to get that 50 million kind of thing.
Yeah.
Targets, because for me, I wouldn't pay overall more than 35 million for him.
Even though we said strikers are dying out, we did say strikers are dying out the other day, though.
They are, but that's the reason why they're so overpriced, because everyone knows that if you need a number 9 and if I've got one that looks good, I can push the envelope and say, hey man, that's 100 million per striker here. That's why Napoli can come with chest and say Osimhen's 120, 130. You know what I mean? Whereas with like, and it came with for a lot of money as well, but his ship has sailed at Spurs. It was done. He had to move. I think with Ferguson, I think you would be mad to pay more than 50, and that's not to do with him. I just think if he's going to be that guy, he's got yet to prove that. He's not had even like a 15, 20 goal season in the Premier League yet. If he has a 15 at Brighton and he's showing that potential, I can hear 60, 70, 80, because you're talking about, if he has better players around him and more higher quality chances, you're talking about a striker that's going to get you goals. But when you're talking about, I don't know, goals, what's his most in the Premier League? 6, maybe? I don't know.
I'm not sure. It's not more than 10, I don't think. Anyway, I'll be surprised if it's more than 10.
Exactly. So you're paying too much. You're paying for the
potential.
This is a nasty way to put it, but my boy used to say, Mandem used to travel to girls for potential rather than definite, and that's dangerous.
Because you don't know what you're getting when you get there.
You don't know what you're getting. She can be chatting to you nice, but there's no guarantee that she's going to give you anything, and she doesn't have to. So as far as you're concerned, you're going there without any assurances. If she told you to come over because I want this, say less. But until then, hey man, when you're going there, it's a pipe dream. Sit down, behave yourself, and see how the day goes. But until then, it's
I like it. No, I do like it. It's crazy, but I do. No, you're right though. I think this season's crucial for him. I think he's got to either give us that 10, 15 goal a season, maybe even 20. I don't see that for Ferguson, but if he can hit those numbers, and he does want a bigger move away from Brighton, or he's happy to be at Brighton, but he wants to be the main striker, then I think he has to hit those numbers. I think he does. I can't see Brighton playing the way that they did last season and then having that bad run at the end, 6 in, what was it? I can't remember. I said 6 out of 30 points, whatever it was. Doing that again this season, where we keep saying on these previews that other teams are going to be improving and their squads are going to get better. They're going to try and increase how, tactically how they play and get the best out of the squad. If other teams are doing that, Brighton have to be in that conversation as well. So they're going to need someone to do that. And I just think they need more out of him and João Pedro as well. They need to get the best out of both of them.
João Pedro, what's your honest opinion about him?
Well, I'm not going to be too critical of him because he only started 19 Premier League games last season and he still managed to score 9 goals, which I think is quite a good turnover in terms of goals. I think he's one of those players that I struggle to see, not where his best position is because I think that's obvious, but I think how good he can potentially be. Where's the level, the ceiling of his ability? I can't really see that with him. Like, I don't know if we're seeing the best of him now and this is it, or if he's got more in the engine, more locked away that he's going to give us in the next season or the season after, or if he's on a progression, a journey. I can't see that with him. I just see, sometimes you see players and you think you're just a player. I know it sounds weird. You're just a player.
Yeah.
You're not going anywhere. You're not going ahead. You're not declining. You're just here.
Yeah.
He feels like one of them for me.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I was thinking when he first got signed last year, I was like, okay, good addition, young striker. He's got a lot of years ahead of him, so we'll see what he can do. But I don't see him doing more than what Richarlison used to do at Everton, and you're talking about a similar kind of level at that time. And I'm like, you're a bit, I don't know. But again, because he's young, I give him so much time. Maybe that might be a fault of mine, because I said that in a group chat recently about Garnacho, and then people were like, listen, if he's meaty, he's meaty. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. You can explode out of nowhere and become a guy. And that might be because also I've seen And I'm sure you and many other people have seen maybe a player at 19, 20, maybe not being that great, but then something turns on at 25, 26, and it's like, where did this player come from? You just don't know. But yeah, so far I'm not sold. I don't know. I don't know. And that's why I didn't mention him earlier when we spoke about Welbeck and Ferguson, because to me, I still have more faith in 33, 34-year-old Welbeck and 5-6 goal Ferguson than you. That's just me. That's me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I agree with you. I think he's got to do more. And it goes back to the Ferguson conversation just then. That attack. This is why I said earlier on as well. I feel like the attackers will potentially let down the new manager very quick if they're not careful. And I think, I mean, I'm not comparing them to Chelsea at all, but I just don't see where they're going to get enough goals to have an impact in the league this season. And that's just an honest assessment from me. They might kick on. They've still got Matoma. Adingra is another brilliant player for them. Pedro, like I said, I'm not going to be critical. 19 games, 9 goals is, for me, is relatively good last season based on the fact he missed a lot of football, building that match fitness up as well. So I get it. Do you know what I mean? Let's see how he can do. But I just want to see a bit more from Brighton because I feel like they've got it. I just feel like that midfield has, again, let them down. Almost like even a goalkeeper, losing Sanchez, who I know was never first choice under De Zerbi anyway. But I don't think the 2 goalkeepers that they've got now, they've even got like a first choice still. I know they didn't last season. They were like swapping and flipping between the 2. So I think you need a core spine. You need someone who's going to be solid in your defense. You need a first choice goalkeeper. You want your cup goalkeeper to be filling in for the Carabao, FA Cup, some of the league games. You want that midfield to be strong. You want a midfield partnership that you can rely on throughout the season. And you want your attackers to be attacking the football in the right way consistently as well. And that's the key word for Brighton, consistent. Like we see flashes of Ferguson, we see flashes of Matoma, we see flashes of Adingra, but we don't see it all the time. And I think that's where they're going wrong. I really do think that's where they're struggling in that attacking up. The forwards for me have got to do better.
And this is why I'm worried about signing 19-year-olds to bolster your front line. I just don't see where it's a good idea. And look, again, we could be coming back in a couple of weeks and saying, yo, these guys are electric. They're fantastic. They've been great signings. And that would be good. And so you want to hope to be proven wrong. When you talk about guys, it's not even a negative, just like in a worrying type of manner. You want to be proven wrong. You want them to adapt. But, it seems like just a season of risks. 19-year-old wingers, 18-year-old midfielders, with the odd experienced one, a 30-year-old manager who's not coached at any top level of any country's league. It's a big jump to go from second league of Bundesliga to Premier League, but see what happens. So be it.
True, very true. Before we wrap up, obviously we got to do the league positions, but before we do that, I want obviously your player to watch and what did I say the last time? Player to watch and what was the other one? Star player.
Yeah. Player to watch, Osman. I think he's got a big future, honestly. So I'm hoping he proves me right as well in that one. I hope he has a stirring season. And star player for me, I'm gonna say Matoma. I think if they're gonna have a good season, they just keep him fit. Then I think anything good will come through him. So shout out Dingra as well, but I think Matoma will be more of a, if he stays fit, more of an efficient player for them this year. What do you think?
It's tough, man. It's tough. My player to watch, actually, I forgot about him. I can't believe we've done our 54 minutes and not even mentioned him. Enciso, I think would be my player to watch.
Bloody hell! Yeah, I forgot about him. Bloody hell! Okay.
But I mean, again, I'm grouping him with the attackers as well. He has to do better this season. But for me, Enciso, there's flashes in him that I've seen, and he's a very, very good quality player, very good on the ball, very good movement. I think he could be a defender's nightmare if he really wanted to be. So I think he's going to be my player to watch. I think Matoma, star player, I agree with you. I think when he's fit and he's on his day, he's unbeatable. And I think again, when I just said about Enciso defender's nightmare, I think if you was playing right back for someone and he was running towards you, you'd be looking at your centre back to help you because you just know you're going to need it. With Matoma, and he scores some really good goals. Again, he likes to drive in with the ball into the box. He's not scared to take defenders on as well. So I think for me, he has to stay fit. And if they can keep him fit this season, I think losing Pascal Gross, who I think probably had the most assists for Brighton last season, Matoma is gonna have to chip in somewhere and help. You know, Pedro, Welbeck, whoever it is, Ferguson that's playing up front, going to have to help those attackers with the goals this season and the assists. So it's going to have to be Matoma for me.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
Now, the important bit, the final league position for Brighton.
Okay, I am going to say 13th.
I was going to say 11th, so I'm going to go 11th. I am going to go 11th. I think now. Why are you going 13th? Just very quickly.
I think they're going to have a similar season to last season. To be honest, I think they're going to excite some people. People are going to be, oh, this young manager is great, and I don't think it's going to be a bad year for him to finish 13th. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that'll be a negative on him, but I just think there's better teams in this league. I think they're going to come and show. Look, you're as good as where you finish. So, if they finish above some teams that I would classify man for man better than them, then they've had a better season. But I just think 13th will be okay for them. I start writing these down. So I said, okay.
I'm going to write them down. I'm going to listen back and write everyone's down and get Damon's, get Basil's as well. But I'm just looking at their, which again we didn't talk about, but I'm just looking at their opening games to the season. So they got Everton, match day 1. They play your lot, United at the Amex. After that, then they have Arsenal. Then they've got Ipswich and Brighton. Ipswich and Nottingham Forest after that. And then they play Chelsea, match day 6. So in that run into October, Tottenham, Newcastle and Wolves. Then they got Liverpool, City straight after that. Bournemouth, Southampton. That run up to Christmas, which is what I wanted to get up to. They've got Fulham, Leicester, Crystal Palace, which is obviously a big game for them. West Ham, Brentford and Villa over the Christmas period. So I look at those games and it's a tough run. Every month they've got a tough game. Whether they want to call it, the top 6 or whatever, or one of the teams out of the top 6, they're still going to have some tough games. I worry about Brighton. I do. I think 11th or 13th is a probably, if you was a neutral fan, not a Brighton fan, probably a neutral, you'd probably say it's probably a fair assessment. We spoke about the midfield. I think that's going to be, for me, that's the key area that they have to get right this season. If they don't, it's too easy for teams to walk the ball through the midfield last season. And I think now, if this new manager sets up how De Zerbi did, I think it could be more of the same.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say.
More of the same.
Okay, I'm just gonna put this down now because so I've got Arsenal top. I put Villa 7th, didn't I?
You did.
And Brighton 13th. You did Bournemouth and
Brentford.
Ooh. Where'd you put them?
Oh, you're testing me, Kojo, man. It was like I can't remember what day it was. I can't remember what day I recorded them. You have to go back and listen. You have to go back and like and subscribe.
Okay, I'm gonna put Bournemouth 9th.
9th?
Yeah.
I know you haven't listened to the preview yet.
And oh wait, they might lose Solanke. Jesus Christ.
Not even just that. I mean, they had a really bad start to last season, man. I think they could have enough. But anyway, I'm not gonna change your mind.
If they lose Solanke, okay, if they lose Solanke, we'll revisit this. But I'm giving them 9th for now. Brentford. Okay, I'm gonna be very honest here. I'm putting Brentford 14th.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle. They just lost their new striker, Igor I can never say his name. I struggled the other night as well. Igor Thiago. They've lost him for the best part of this rest of this year now. So they're obviously going to try and keep hold of Ivan Toney. They do that, then obviously there's a massive thing around Toney could leave next season. on a free.
Yeah.
They keep him this season. So did they cash in, try and get another striker in as well? So there's a lot for Brentford to think about, which I did cover. If you're a Brighton fan, but you're also interested in Brentford or Bournemouth, then head over to the channel. Make sure you listen to those previews for them. Gojo, pleasure as always.
Always.
Always a pleasure. Tomorrow, man, Chelsea.
How you feeling?
Do you know what? We've got a match tonight as well. That's what makes it even worse.
Who you playing?
We've got Real Madrid. I don't know why I'm laughing. Yeah, it's midnight. I'm not even watching it. As sad as it sounds, I've got better things to do. Yeah,
It's midnight. You know what? Can't lie. I think and watching. Let me just find the quickly.
I'm tempted, but do you know what? I might watch it. I can't not miss it. But tomorrow, if you're listening to this and you're interested in Chelsea, tomorrow is the Chelsea preview. So I think we might have a full house, or maybe not. We'll have hopefully Damon will be joining us alongside me and Kojo to talk all things Chelsea. So if you're a Chelsea fan listening to this, again, make sure you tune in tomorrow. Don't forget to subscribe, like the videos, share them as well. Join all the audio versions on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts as well. Follow us on the socials as well. Don't forget all of that. Until tomorrow, we'll be back. Thank you very much for listening.